All right, we're live. Go ahead.
Greetings, Delray Beach. And I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I take the liberty of representing the SET Neighborhood Alliance and also the Delray Beach Voters League. This is the external meeting of the SET Neighborhood Alliance that we do every other month. And at this time, I'm going to take the liberty to call this meeting to order. We do want to thank everyone for participating. We do recognize and celebrate with the rest of the country on this momentous occasion in the commemoration of Juneteenth, as far as a federal holiday. We do want to respect that. We know a number of activities has been going on over the past weekend and in the past months, and we continue with that, these historic celebrations and recognition. With that said, we're going to ask Mr. Brother Jerome Weatherspoon to lead us in our tradition in a word of prayer.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Jerome.
Precious and Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to meet on this occasion once again for this meeting. We know you said that this is the day that thou hast made. Let us rejoice and to be glad in it. And so we thank you as we come into this meeting here tonight. We ask that thou will give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Give us guidance that we can keep our eyes on the prize and stay focused and stay the course, realizing you brought us and you brought us too far to lead us now. So as we go on in this meeting, be with us. Help us to transact business decent and in order that will be beneficial to our community as we try to take those shifts that are stuck to the bottom to rise up with the rising tides. In your son Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Brother Weatherspoon. Much appreciated. So tonight, we're going to hear from various stakeholders within our community. And with these educational and informational meetings in our tradition with the Alliance, we follow the principles of the SET transformation in regards to building capacity for our community. We will show tonight, collective impact towards how we continue, and we must continue to build collective impact and build community capacity so we can maintain our stewardship, accountability, and transparency for our communities. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and call Ann Stacy Wright, the Vice Chair of the Coalition, to give us a traditional welcome to the community. Ann?
Thank you, Reggie. Good afternoon, the SET and surrounding communities. On behalf of the SET Alliance and Coalition, I'd like to say welcome to our first 2022 community outreach meeting. If you have a friend, you know a friend, please have them to go to Facebook or to our YouTube and watch this informational session that we're about to present to you tonight. Again, welcome, 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 and look forward to seeing you at some of the other community meetings as well. Be blessed.
Thank you, Ann. And again, the SET Neighborhood Alliance is a collection of 27 neighborhood associations. We stress neighborhood associations because we have many renters in our neighborhood. We focus on giving information and education to our community around what really matters. We often ask ourselves, what's really at stake? We have to be informed because there are decisions constantly being made about our neighborhood and our community that impacts our livelihood. And to the extent that we can stay in first-hand knowledge, not what somebody told us, but from our own research, first-hand knowledge of the issues. This is why we've organized to do that, because we just don't want to be told anything. We have focused on and encountered deceptions from elected officials, abuse of power from elected officials, turning the clock back, lack of equitable policies, myths, and number one suspect, voter suppression. So to the extent that we can stay organized in the operationalizing of the SET transformation plan, which is a wealth building plan and an equitable policy plan to build power in our community, this is why we're organized. And we broadcast these meetings to share to our community, to recruit for others to come in who's interested to be a part of a progressive coalition that will seek change in the dynamics as far as the electeds and appointed officials on how I view our neighborhood. With that said, we're going to bring Mrs. Sandra Weatherspoon, the Alliance Coordinator, to give us an update on some of the issues that we've targeted and been following in recent months. Ms. Sandra?
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to come before you this evening to share some information about what has been happening at the SET Alliance meetings at the Elders Table. Happy Juneteenth to everyone, and happy belated Father's Day to all fathers. I would also like to say to you that it is a lot going on in the city of Delray, and I am going to give you a few updates on what information I have that we have been sharing with members of the SET community. First and foremost, we want to bring to the attention of all Delray Beach citizens and residents that there is a notice of your water bill increasing. When you get your water bill monthly, on this month's bill particular, I'm looking at ours, in the right-hand corner, there is a block that says Notice of Water Rate Increase, and it's in bold red colors. So please take your bill out and look at it and share this with others. And the notice reads, to all City of Delray Beach water utility customers, this notice is to inform you that the City of Delray Beach has passed Ordinance 1722, which includes a water and wastewater rate increase. This increase will become effective on July 1st, 2022, and thereafter will be reflected on your individual bill. Please be advised that the reason of this increase is recommendations from the Water and Wastewater Rate Options Report issued March 2022 by a consulting firm that was engaged by the City of Delray Beach. We all know that our water treatment plant and the water tower in Delray Beach is quite old and has some issues. And we've been instructed that we need to upgrade this existing infrastructure to construct a new water treatment plant. Thus, the funds for this construction will have to come from an increase of water rates from our residents. They want you to go to the water rates, go to Delray Beach, Florida, gov.billing on the City of Delray Beach website. Now, what does that mean for you? Starting July 1st, if your home uses at least the minimum $6,000 gallons, your bill will go up $2.42. I want to repeat, $2.42. This is for July 1st, if you don't use more than 6,000 gallons. Also, your sewage rate will increase 66 cents. Now, please understand that during the month of May, the SET Alliance went before the City Commission meeting in May and voiced our concerns. Then we went back to the meeting on June 7th when they voted. But prior to that, the City of Delray Beach sent the Water Utilities Director and Mr. Hassan and Mr. Dunkley from the Water Building Department brought his staff to the Elders Table. And because of our concerns, They have now decided, yes, the water bill is going to be increased, but it will only be increased this July and again in October for the until 2026. What does that mean for you? Instead of having an increase July, January, and October of 2022 and 2023, you're only going to have an increase July 1 of $2.42 for your water, 66 cents for your sewer, and in October 2023, it will increase again. That exact amount I do not have, but please pay attention to your water bill, look at it, and keep up with the city commission meetings. We are very happy that they listened and didn't give us 3 increases, July, January, and October. We would have gotten 2 in 2023. So we are very thankful that the city came out, listened, and they did make some changes. But nevertheless, please pay attention to your water bill. Please do not throw out all the inserts. Read the information that is included because the information is important. All righty. Next that we want to talk about is Carver Park Homeowners Association, which is led by Ann Stacy Wright and Janice Garcia Hill. They are very busy preparing to survey the community, the residents in Carver Park. They have prepared a neighborhood survey, which they're going to be sharing this week. And we are going to use that as the model to survey all of the neighborhoods in the SET Alliance. Also, we want to invite you to the elders table every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. at Community Primitive Baptist Church. That is where the elders meet and discuss community issues. We have been graced lately with members of the city departments, neighborhood services, water utilities. Mr. Sam Walthart was there last week. Also, Commissioner Ryan Bolston was there the week before, so Commissioner Shirley Johnson. We've had information on healthcare. We've had information from Habitat for Humanity. Downtown Delray Authority came, Laura Simon, and invited our group to join the Downtown Development Authority as they prepare for the July 27th Jazz on the Avenue, which will extend from East Atlantic, Swinton, all the way to Northwest 6th Avenue. And we're asking any vendors or musicians or artists to please contact us. If you're interested, you can participate. Art and Jazz on the Avenue, July 27th. Also, we want to talk about Faith Forward. It's a program that is being financed by Thrive Collective. What this program is, that 3 churches in the community are being given funds to revamp. They have been awarded, the Faith Forward Project has been awarded a grant of $600,000 to help revamp 3 area churches to remodel or add to the facilities. These churches are St. Matthew's, Ebenezer Wesleyan, and Community Primitive Baptist. They're going to have some remodeling done and hopefully have them be more open for positive contribution and use by the community. Also, the CDC, Restore, Repair, and Replacement, Ann Stacy Wright and Virginia Brooks are very busy coming and talking to community residents whose homes need repair. And that information is being collected, and hopefully we will be able to help them get some remodeling of their homes. We also want to let you know that the Blackmas Market, part of Peach Umbrella, is very active, and it was very active in the Juneteenth Festival on Saturday. We're also supporting Reclaim Our Village, which help us reclaim Village Academy School and help the community support the staff and students at the school. Finally, we want to thank you for listening. We hope that you will become involved and visit the elders table on any Thursday morning at 10 a.m. at Community Primitive Baptist Church. I'm sorry, the meeting is at 9 a.m. And that concludes my report for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at 561-271-3584. That is my phone number, and my email address is sandraweatherspoon@gmail.com. Thank you, and you have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Weatherspoon, for that report. So as the viewers can see, we are very detail oriented in our community engagement. We do believe in authentic leadership that has been built on the back of many pioneers from the city of Delray Beach. And we honor that legacy. We believe in that legacy. And this is why we advocate so hard to protect our best interests. There are anchor organizations, partners you'll hear from tonight that help us, move our agenda collectively in Delray Beach and also countywide. That would be the Palm Beach County Black Caucus, also our friends in the organized clergy with Faith in Florida. These are very extremely important components in our advocacy work towards equitable policies and keeping our eyes on the prize. So with that said, we're going to further move along with our agenda. We're going to bring the coalition chair to the fold here to give us a synopsis of the Delray Beach Voters League and how we will continue to plan to restore and build this legacy organization within our community. Why it's important to do that at this time and continue to build on that so our voices, as a matter of fact, we can force our voices to be heard at the polls and beyond the polls with accountability as far as policy making is concerned. Coalition Chair Chuck Ridley.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chairman Cox, for the invitation. Sean, would you do me a favor and share the PowerPoint?
Yep, 1 second.
As Sean pulls this up, I want to thank Sandra Weatherspoon for your leadership as the person who really has now taken the reins of the Set Neighborhood Alliance as our coordinator. And that's the grassroots work. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in this presentation, but your leadership, the leadership of Ann Stacy Wright, the leadership of Deborah Walker, the leadership of so many who have moved beyond Reggie and Morris as chairs to double down into this work is just, I just give you a heartfelt thank you. Go ahead, Sean, I'm ready. So the Delray Beach Voter League is different and separate from the Set Neighborhood Alliance. And I want to really clarify what I mean by that as we move forward. And in the future, we're going to show you how we're going to distinguish the two. Just in the short, though, you can go to the next slide. This is the piece we want you to know. That everything you're going to see that comes from here moving forward was given and passed down to us by our elders. One of those legendary elders was Mr. Alfred Zach Strong, who asked us to do all we can on our watch. Now, that's not a sign to just do a little bit of work. Mr. Alfred Zach Strong organized in the set for 72 years. I don't mean he was 72 years old. I mean, he organized in this one neighborhood for 72 years. And it's on shoulders of giants like Mr. Strong, Ms. Rosetta Roll, Commissioner David Randolph, that this presentation we have moving forward, that's whose shoulders we stand on. Next slide. And so the Delray Beach Voter League is really an extension of how the set, this historic Black neighborhood, has built power. In recent years, and when I say recent, because this organizing goes back to 1933. So what I'm talking about isn't something new for the historic Black neighborhood that we now call the SET. But the SET Neighborhood Alliance is a civic organization, a grassroots civic organization that is the accountability arm. It is that grassroots work that makes a difference and keeps the work authentic. What partners with the Alliance is the Village Elders Table. Now, this isn't a clergy group. The Village Elder Table is a table that builds off of the African proverb and African tradition, where the elders provide wisdom to community challenges, community problems, and use that wisdom as a North Star for those who actually do the work. And so as we build capacity, the power starts with that grassroots part of our work. That's the SET Neighborhood Alliance. Then we have a convening table. This convening table allows us to have real, authentic community conversations. Sometimes we fuss and fight at the elders table, but what we don't get right at the elders table, stay at the elders table when we leave, and will remain there until we get back. Now, the coalition, you used to know as WARP, but the coalition has not grown. Delray has gentrified. All of Delray is gentrified. And what the role of the coalition is to ensure that we aren't displaced by making sure that the residents of the SET are resilient to displacement. The SET and maybe Auburn Trace, maybe Delray Shores, Chateau Lane, and a couple of other neighborhoods are the only neighborhoods at risk of having its residents displaced. It don't have to be that way. And so what the residents have come up through that grassroots organizing, through that convening table, is a new vision for what WARP will do and build on the strength of a coalition so that we can meet the needs of residents. It's one thing to build power, but you also, while you build power, have to make sure that the residents are resilient. And Ms. Weatherspoon also shared with you some things that we're doing. And I won't repeat that, which is the segue to the Delray Beach Voter League. The Delray Beach Voter League existed long before any of these three other organizations that I just shared with you. And we're bringing it back. Because here's what we know. Programs, and somewhere during the 80s and 90s, we moved from grassroots civic engagement, grassroots convening tables, to social service organizations. And while social service organizations are more than needed, they don't build power. And what is going to protect us from the kinds of displacement and keep us out of risk is building power. The Delray Beach Voter League is what weaponized the power of the historic Black neighborhood back in the day, and is the reason that there's actually a seat 4 that has historically had a Black representative sitting there because of the power that they built. We are now trying to get back to that same power because we've lost the influence of seat 4. And we're going to work hard to get it, but it takes more than just voting. It takes more than just programs. It takes more than convening tables. It takes more than grassroots organizing. The power that we seek takes all 4 of these. And I'm going to now use the remainder of my presentation to tell you a little bit about what the Delray Beach Voter League will be. Sean. So, the Delray Beach Voter League in this iteration is different from the SET Neighborhood Alliance because we are looking to broaden those who will stand with us. We're not just looking at what happens in the Black community. We're looking at building power for all working class families. And currently there is not a champion on city commission, there is not an organization in the city of Delray that is focused on advocating for policies, building programs that protect those who consider themselves working class families. Of course, we got to address the impact of race. Structural racism is alive and well in Delray, but so is the impact on class. And so if you go to any city commission meeting, tell me if you hear enough about how do we protect people's voting right. Tell me if you hear enough about how they improve education or build community wealth or protect and reform the criminal justice system and improve health and wellness for those who find themselves in vulnerable conditions. I challenge you to go find the city at City Commission what workshop they have done that is really looked at that. They'll do one or two every time an election comes up. You're going to hear some of these words now because we are moving into an election cycle, but watch what happens post-election cycle. That's why this organization has come together. We'll talk more about it as we move forward. Next slide, please, Sean. So these are the symptoms that working class families, and more specific, we have more persons who live in the set, in this Black historic neighborhood, than anywhere else that finds themselves. Highest concentration of working class families, but it's not exclusive to the set. And we got a housing crisis, not just for homeowners, but for renters. Now, Ms. Odoms is going to tell you all that we got to have a way for renters to find a home, and we'll agree. But in between time, there's many more things that we got to do to make sure there's quality housing for everyone that lives in Delray. And then immigrants. The immigrants in Delray are suffering, particularly Black immigrants. They have all the challenges that the Black community have and face the challenge of an immigration system and a state that will really run them out. The wealth gap exists. In fact, we're going to start talking about the wealth gap because I'm not trying, it's just too, and the reason I say that, there's a bunch of folk who happen to be white that just ain't making a lot of money either. We got to increase access to capital and wealth for everyone. But as the saying goes, as the set go, so does all Delray. So if you lift up the floor in the set, it will lift up the floor in every other community, in every other sector. And the lackluster public education system we have. We're going to work hard to change that. But we're not just changing that for those who live in the set. We think it's important that if you live in Chateau Lang or Delray Shores, or if you live in Osceola Park, that whatever school your child is attending, that you know that you got a champion that is going to make sure that elected officials, whether it's at the school board, whether it's at the state, or whether it's at our city commission, is going to be fighting to make sure that you have champions for working class families. Next slide. And so what makes us unique? Well, what makes us unique is that we're seasoned at it. We've been doing this for some time. Now, y'all might not like how we do it. You may not like the way we say it. I know we got some hard tongues. We got some folk who say things better than Reggie and I. I mean, maybe nicer. I don't know about better. But we got some seasoned folk that have predominantly worked in the Black precincts, but we're expanding that to make sure that we're building power, not just for those in the set, but all working class families. Because minus that alliance, we're not going to make it very far. Next slide. This triangle is familiar to all of those of you who are from the set Neighborhood Alliance. And it talks about the community power and how we build that community power through a triangle that look at community organizing. And if you can remember the slide that I showed you, the group that does the community organizing is our grassroots set Neighborhood Alliance. That's straight up community organizing. The village elders table straight up community organizing. And the coalition is straight up organizing. The coalition also do programs, but we do only programs that build power. We don't do programs that creates charity. And then I'm gonna jump down to policy, because there are policies that are needed that all four of those components work at. And these policies that we're talking about are policies that impact homeowners. So like one of the things that is a challenge to the homeowners are the antiquated policies for workforce housing. And one of those antiquated policies is the 40-year deed restriction. And the reason that is given for the 40-year deed restriction is because want to protect the inventory of affordable housing. That's an ambitious goal. What I agree with, just the policy is antiquated. They also have a COT that does a permanent deed restriction. Or you can look at what the county does with the 15-year deed restriction. I would argue that the 15-year deed restriction and the permanent deed restriction is all you need. You don't need a 40-year deed restriction. Those two will help protect the inventory, get rid of that 40-year deed restriction because it has absolutely no value. We have attorney Richard Rouse on, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but you can, like, I think life in prison is only 20 years. I mean, you could commit a crime, go to prison for life, come back and still got another 20 years of a deed restriction. It makes no sense. We got to get past that. The other is that we got to begin to look at policies for tenants. We got to protect them. Half of those who live in the set are homeowners. The other half is renters. Tell me the last time you've been to a city commission meeting or heard any elected or appointed official really champion the rights of renters. And renters are all over Delray. And Palm Beach County is one of the leading counties in this country in escalating rents. So working class family, this is why we got to come together. And then the last part of it is the electoral cycle. The biggest challenge Delray face is a dysfunctional city commission. I am not telling you that we've always had a dysfunctional city commission, but we got one now. And if we don't come together across all incomes, across all neighborhoods, and develop and establish a tone as the folk who are here, this cycle between now and 23 and 24 is a fight for the soul of Delray Beach. Election cycles matter. And we got to find a way, whether you live in the set or if you live in the beach, to come together and have, because we got enough in common to have a city commission that looks out for us all. Next slide, please. And so, what is the working class agenda? Is to develop without displacing the people who don't have high level incomes. We do have low wage workers. You can develop this area. In Delray, you have either pro-growth, that's what you see downtown, or smart growth, that is what's behind the brand that talks about Village by the Sea. What we need is equitable development to make sure that all income, all levels, that should be the North Star. If we want a one Delray, we should have a one Delray that looks out for all of Delray. Economic prosperity for all. Our children need schools that will shape their future. We gotta have healthy communities and healthy families, and we gotta get out and vote. That's expanding democracy. That's the agenda that is driven by the Delray Beach Voter League. Next slide, please. And so who is our target? I've already talked to you about working class families, but we're also, for the Delray Beach Voter League, looking to talk to all eligible voters. We got to weaponize our vote. You just can't sit home. You got to really begin to think through what kind of commission do we want? All voters. And unfortunately, voters, we get the kind of elected officials we deserve based on how we engage in the democratic process. But we also are reaching out to grass top leaders, not just the current elected officials, but those who are going to be in the pipeline for the future and appointing, because we're going to hold you accountable. We're going to hold you accountable for changing the fate and the plight of all. And developers, and corporate sector, we're going to take another look at you. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be singing Kumbaya and meeting together to have, like invite you over for the 4th of July affairs at our homes, but we got to have a different kind of conversations. Not all developers and not all in the corporate sector are folk who don't get the need for working class families. But for the most part, developers and corporate sectors, you've behaved cowardly. You've allowed this commission to intimidate you. The one thing that won't happen for those of us who are in the Delray Beach Voter Leagues is we won't be intimidated. We will speak truth to power, but we need you to step in and begin to also take that approach. Next slide, please. And so our playbook is to establish a new star, establish policies that are about more than personalities, because we're too engaged in who the elected official is, who they like. And unfortunately, some of those same elected officials are also too engaged on who campaigns for who, and they take out personal vendettas. And then lastly, we have for the municipal election cycle, 2023 and 2024 are going to be major. We can change the fabric. We can change the direction of the entire city of Delray based on what we do in these next two cycles. And the set is now working through the Delray Beach Voter League to make sure that we are engaged. We need you to do your part. Next slide. And so in order to make all of this happen is to just bring this in. We believe that social justice is the base of how you are going to build community power. We got to do it in a way that is respectful and build local infrastructure. Voting matters, but it's more than just on election day. It matters more than just on election day. It matters 364 days a year. So we need all communities to begin to build their infrastructure so that you can be engaged. Look to the set. We'll help you. We'll help you understand how you can mature no matter what neighborhood you're in and being actively engaged. And we have to, working class families, we have to prioritize each other. We can't be caught up in who the candidate is or what the media is, who the political party is, because they ignore us too much. And then we will have authentic conversations that look at how we address class, race, and class issues, that look at housing justice, economic justice, criminal justice, and wealth and health justice. Chairman Cox, that will end my presentation.
Thank you, Chair Ridley. And here again, as we say all the time in the set, in our partnering communities, we must stay the course. Chairman Ridley has laid out the distinction between the Set Neighborhood Alliance, the distinction in comparison to the Delray Beach Voters League, and how it is both in for our community 365 days a year, as far as advocacy is concerned, and not just at election time when the electives, and a lot of them usual suspects, come around. We're getting ready to move into phase 2 of our discourse tonight that we're entitled in the Supper Club. And we're going to go ahead and bring in, because see that we want to remember, we're gonna bring in our community partners to help us have a open dialogue and conversations, okay, about, what does accountability really looks like? What does it really look like? What are the lessons have we learned in past election cycles that we cannot make the same mistakes going forward? What does it look like? What does the type of representative look like that is going to do what they say on the campaign trail when they get into office? And how can we ensure that? Chairman Ridley spoke of accountability as far as on the policy side. That means when you get into office, okay? So that ties back to, we just can't be willing to work at election time. We have to continuously do it because we have a lot to hold them accountable for, because the times just pass us by. So we want to go ahead and bring in Attorney Richard Rouse with the Palm Beach County Black Caucus, Pastor Ray Whiteley with Faith in Florida, Dietrich Strong with the South County chapter of the NAACP. And we want to have open dialogue with lessons learned as it relates to accountability for the Black and Brown agenda in our neighborhoods, and also what Mr. Ridley said, a progressive agenda across working class families. What can we do? And we also have Morris Christopher, Vice President of Delray Beach Voters League, and Ms. Ernestine Holidays on with the Alliance West Side Heights. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let Attorney Rouse open up for some comments for what he wants to bring to the table in this edition of the Supper Club. Attorney?
Reggie, thank you, and everyone on the call for this evening. It's been quite enlightening on the goings on there in Delray. But at the end of the day, I think that the plight of Black people is the same, whether it's in West Palm Beach, Riviera Beach, Lake Park, or Delray. We are all facing the same oppression, for want of a better word. And our organization is necessary, if not paramount, to our survival. I had a friend that went to Ghana a couple weeks ago, and he had a video of them at the door of no return. And the tour guide made a statement that was so profound to me. In that statement, he said, and this was a group of African Americans that were there to witness the door of no return, which was the last place that a person would see of Africa before being brought to either here in the United States or to the Caribbean. And he said that you should remember that had there not been division amongst us, you would have been here today. And so we must understand that our divisions are always to our detriment and not to our benefit. And I would hope that this organization can assist the Palm Beach County Black Caucus in our attempts to bring all of our communities from every ethnic group together for the benefit of us all.
Thank you, Attorney Rouse, for that. We appreciate that. We hear you. We with you. We are with you, and also in my role as the Vice President of the South, as far as the Palm Beach County Black Caucus is concerned. We know the road is long, but we're here to stay and work with the caucus to build capacity around our agendas. So thank you so much for that. Pastor Ray Whiteley.
Yes, good afternoon, Reggie and other guests that are on the call. Thank you for holding this space and giving us an opportunity to share. It is always awesome when we could come together and build power in our spaces like this. Delray is definitely one of the organizations, not only in Palm Beach County, but across Florida, that's leading charge as far as what this work looks like. But Faith in Florida is an organization, congregational organization who builds power in Black and Brown communities. We have regions in South, Central, and North Florida, and we bring people of faith together to act in a unified moral voice. We have over 1,000 congregations representing 37 counties and 160,000 families. I am proud to be leading the charge in Palm Beach County, and definitely even more proud to stand alongside the set in lifting the work that you guys are doing. My ask for everybody who is watching this, connect us with your church. We are people of faith. Connect us with your church. We can have these conversations with your faith leaders. We are not only looking at those big churches, but we want to talk to your pastor, even if it's 2 or 3 of you gathering. So we do want to have a conversation around how do we build power in Black and Brown communities? How do we lift a collective plan that empowers? So thank you again for this space. Is it appropriate to put my telephone number on or my email, Reggie, if it's not appropriate?
Absolutely.
My telephone number is 561-523-2286. And my email address is rwhiteley@faithinflorida.org. rwhiteley@faithinflorida.org. Let's have a conversation with you and your pastor as to building the capacity within our congregations to have a greater impact outside the walls of our congregations. So thank you again, Reggie, for this opportunity to share.
You're extremely welcome, Pastor. We look forward to continuous engagements and continuous work towards building capacity and strengthening that, and also educating our community towards policies and initiatives that's really going to impact us and help us with a better quality of life, which we all deserve. Like I say, it's fitting that the commemoration of the day, what the day means in the history of this country, just gives more ammunition, okay? And I know for me, more motivation for us to be in a space where we can advocate for ourselves, for those truths that's been allegedly promised to everyone. Well, we're definitely going to go after them. With that said, we want to go ahead at this time. Is Morris Christopher on? Vice Chair Christopher on, and stay who? Okay. Oh, Deidre. Sorry. Let's go with Deidre Strong, South County Chapter NAACP President. How you doing, sir? I think you're on mute there, Deidre. Attorney, I think you're on mute. There you go. Okay.
Sorry about that, Brother Cox. How's everybody doing this evening?
Greetings. Fine, sir. Fine, sir.
Righty. As Mr. Cox indicated, my name is Deidre Strong. I have the pleasure serving as the president of the newly activated South Palm Beach County branch of the NAACP. And I believe you can see the branch number there, 5131B. This branch was founded and started by my grandfather, the late great Alfred Strong, back in 1981. And he served as president of this branch from 1981 to 1991. And sometime after that, the branch got deactivated, and we had several individuals in the community who felt the need to get this branch up and started again. And I'm just honored again that they thought enough of me to elect me as president to take on and carry the torch that my grandfather left behind. Now, I want to be clear to everybody. The work that the NAACP will be doing in this community is nothing new. We've had stakeholders in this community doing the work already. Organizations like WARP, organizations like the Voters League under the leadership of Ms. Rosetta Rowe, the Set Neighborhood Alliance. Individuals in Delray Beach have always done this work. What the NAACP hopes to bring is another branch to come in, work, and supplement the things that all these other organizations are doing. We are only divided by name. We are not divided by the cause and by the things that we hope to accomplish as a collective group. We have a very energetic executive branch that's ready to hit the ground running. You know, I'll share this with you. We've already pissed off members of our Florida conference of the NAACP. So we have no problems making them mad and going to war with them. We definitely have no problem fighting city officials and politicians who seek to stamp out and or usurp our civil rights and the equality of those in the city of Delray Beach. So we're ready to get working. I wanted to share one other thing with you. There used to be a time where when we didn't learn our history in school, we called it whitewashing. They were whitewashing. The days of whitewashing are over. We are moving into a phase where they are looking to get rid of our history altogether. Wipe it out completely. When we look at the things that are going on in the school, where they're banning books that talk about race, where they're banning discussions about race, that's not a whitewashing anymore. That's a total obliviation of our past. And I believe it was Winston Churchill said once that if you don't learn from the mistakes of your past, you're doomed to repeat it. And if we know that, then the question has to be to everybody, is the repeating of the past the end goal for those Europeans that are sitting there watching the numbers of minorities grow between Black and brown peoples? Because to me, that's what it appears to be. It appears to me that they are looking to repeat the past by wiping out our history so that they can go back and do those things that kept us in bondage for years. And I want everybody to keep their eye on that and to watch that. Because when I look at what's going on in Delray Beach, that's what I'm seeing. When I watch and I read the things that are going on in the educational system, that's what I'm seeing. When I watch the things that Governor DeSantis, when I watch the things that Ron DeSantis is doing in Tallahassee, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a movement to repeat the past aggressions against Blacks and other minorities in this country, and we can't let that happen. So the South Palm Beach County branch of the NAACP, we will be working with all of these other organizations. We'll be very active during this election cycle. We will be in your schools. We will be in your civic gatherings, and we will be working with everybody else to make sure that we keep our issues to the forefront and we hold these politicians and these elected officials, hold their feet to the fire. The days where they were used to us coming into city council meetings and a roar, making a lot of noise and then blowing out and forgetting the issues are gone. We have organizations that have been around for years. We have individuals who have been around for years who have made them accountable. And they know in Delray Beach, that accountability will be there and they would have to stand accounted to all of these organizations. So please, we urge you all to join the branch. We're at NAACP.org. Click to become a member. Memberships are as low as $30 a year, and you can renew it every year. We also have lifetime memberships. And make sure that when you do sign up for the branch that you click the South Palm Beach County branch. South Palm Beach County branch, number 5131B. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Neighborhood Set Alliance community, for having us on, and we look forward to working with everybody.
Thank you, Attorney Strong. So, to my neighbors, to the audience, to the community, my colleagues, as you can see, the capacity on this meeting tonight really speaks of a standing in solidarity towards accountability in our government. Not only standing in solidarity of accountability of the electeds and appointed officials, but also challenging ourselves for things that we can make a difference because we see it with our eyes every day. We see the disparities in our neighborhoods. We know there's a direct connection that goes back to the Civil War and beyond as it relates to our economic floor and our economic progress in this country. And to the extent that we place values and principles, capacity building, civic stewardship, placemaking, healthy communities, all the ingredients that's in the SET transformation plan, like Attorney Strong said. This stuff isn't anything new. Quite frankly, any decent people will want healthy neighborhoods, safe schools, effective representation that will not deceive you when you support them on the campaign trail, and then when they get into office, it's a totally different person. We call them two-faced. That's what I was taught. But I do want to put on the table before we bring Morris Christopher, Vice Chair, and we're going to hear from Ann, and we're going to hear from Miss Ernestine. I want you all to, if you're on the screen, I want you all to jump in. I really just want to have a dialogue. Okay, I see the coalition chair still on with us. I really want you all to really sepulcher this thing and take yourselves off mute and really begin to account. I asked earlier of some of the lessons learned, in particular around some of the deceptive practices in this election cycle, and what are some of our responses to that. I think I've heard tonight we've had some strong responses to that, not only in Delray, but in the faith community and the county-wide, with the bringing back of the historic NAACP, and Attorney Dietrich Strong standing in his footsteps of his grandfather. So we know we have the DNA, and it's time to continue to get to work. So I want to put on the table, okay, to this group, what is the qualification, okay, of an elected official to champion the issues of working class families, okay? What does that elected official look like that is going to take the bull by the horn and understand what representation is, not dictatorship, okay? What is those qualifications? Do they exist? And I just want to open that up to my colleagues in organizing to talk about that, because it's a serious matter. Please jump right in.
Hey, go ahead, Ann. Oh, hey, Reggie, how's it going? Hey, I think that's a very good question. Like one of the basic things, as an elected official, we can't be too sensitive, and we got to recognize that we're not always going to agree. I mean, you don't, as in your household, you don't always agree with your spouse, and you don't always agree with your friends, your best friends. We always have disagreements on how we should go about getting things done. And so one of the qualities that an elected official must have is that you got to have thick skin. And just because someone challenged you on an issue, you don't get your ball. You don't get the luxury of taking your ball and running home. And that's what we're getting today. And so as an elected official, you got to have the quality to be able to disagree in order to and work together with the people that you disagree with and not take your ball home. Reg, you said something very important as well about when we're out on the campaign trail, we're seeking election, a re-election, we'll say whatever it is that, from my experience, we've seen that you'll say whatever it is that you need to say to get elected. And then once you get into that position, then you have a different agenda. And those agenda doesn't go in line with what we need in the communities in this city. And so for me, you must be able to disagree and still work together in order to get things done. And so I'll start with that, and then I'll come back in and discuss and get other people time to shine in on that.
Okay. Morris, those are some very good
Reggie?
points.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Ann.
I think one of the things, what is happening and some things that are not being done by the politician of today is that when you're in that office, you are a representation of the entire community, not just a neighborhood or different type of people or organization. So you have to put on your big girl drawers and you got to really work for the people. You're there for the people. And as far as your personal feelings and stuff, you got to know how to control that. Sitting up there is not the place for you to show your ignorance and evilness that has been shown on that diocese.
Reggie,
Go ahead, Ms. Holiday.
to add to what Ann said, some officials have the audacity to make the statement, well, I'm only one person. But sometimes it only takes one vote, and your vote should count. You should stand up for principles, not personalities. Because if you stand up for principles, you're serving the whole community entirely. You don't just support certain segments of the community. And that's what we need, somebody that's going to listen to us, take our concerns in consideration, and then do something about it. We don't need you with your personality because you don't like me. You're not going to do fair by my community. You need people that are strong enough to stand up. If you stand there and let people dictate to you like you're a puppet on a string, then you're not being true to yourself.
How can we? Okay, Ms. Odom, can you hear? Are you there? I don't know if she can hear. Ms. Odom, Andrea. Okay. Any other comments? Any other comments on that question and just a reminder of the question? Qualified candidate as it relates to working class family issues, the working class family agenda. What is the profile of that candidate from start to finish, and how can we ensure, based on lessons learned? So, for example, some of the lessons learned that we spoke about in the past would be that our community is still engaged, correct?
Yes.
We know that based on our advocacy, our neighborhood, in other words, our neighborhood still matters, right? We've learned that because we stay engaged. We also learned over these last few election cycles, we're a powerful voting bloc. We're a powerful voting bloc. And we must take ownership in solving our own problems. We also learn we have expertise within ourselves. And we want to be able to put people over profit, and we believe in the power of community leadership. So with that said, going into this election cycle, what are some of the feelings on, examples in the past where we've had leadership who basically have deceived us, who has abused power, who asked for representation as far as appointing folks to boards and then removing them because they don't act the way they want them to act, okay? And haven't pushed one policy initiative, only leading with retribution. How do we clean that out with the power of the organizational strength that we talked about tonight? What challenge, what do we have to do to solve that equation?
Well, Reggie.
Reggie, I kind of touched on it. Oh, Morris.
Go ahead.
Okay. Reggie, and again, that's what I touched on with that Winston Churchill quote, those who forget the past. We have officials that are running again that have already served on the commission. We can't forget how they served when they were there before. We know those officials who did not have the best interest of the city of Delray Beach at heart. They had their own individual interests and other political affiliations at heart, not ours, okay? We've seen that. And those individuals have stayed close to the mantle to position themselves to run again. They've led by personal animosity that they've had with various individuals in the community, various individuals on certain organizations, and they've allowed those animosities to dictate how they rule. Now, I remember when the CRA board was an independent board. And when we had that board, one of the last things we did, because I was on that board along with Morris, Reggie, I think those are the only ones that are here tonight. One of the last things we did on that board was approve the set transformation plan. That plan got approved by the CRA board and it went before the city commission. And as soon as it got to the city commission, we started getting motions on the city commission floor to get rid of the independent nature of the CRA. That wasn't what was best for the city. That was based on personal feelings and animosity that members who served on the commission at the time had against other stakeholders in this community, because those stakeholders held their feet to the fire and challenged them to make them accountable. And they didn't want that. They didn't want that. And the top ladders on, those individuals were minorities. They were African-American descent. When the oppressed challenges the oppressor pushed back. And that's exactly what we got. So they got rid of the independent city, the independent nature of the CRA. They moved forward. That set transformation plan just died. We never heard anything else from it. I remember I brought that up when the city was contemplating adding those 2 at-large seats to the CRA. And I was approached by a former city commissioner who's seeking to run again in this election cycle. And I was asked to serve on that board. And I believe I had this conversation with several of you all. And this person was telling me about all the good things that this new board would do. And I asked him, I said, well, listen, everything that you're talking about is in the set transformation plan. Why won't you approve that? And I was like, oh, well, that's still on the table. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. You got rid of a whole independent board because of that set transformation plan. It was out on the table. It was never on the table. So those are the things that we have to weed out. Remember who served, remember what they stood for when they served, and remember how they served. And if you know that, that's enough to let you know that they don't deserve your vote. We're not going to get your name confused with anybody else. We know who you are. We've been here. Okay? I've watched this mayor, from my vantage point, run this city the way Donald Trump ran the White House. I'm going to tell you to do something. If you don't do it, I'm going to fire you. How many city managers have we lost under this mayorship? How many city attorneys have we gone through? This whole water treatment plant issue that we had, she never accepted responsibility. It was always somebody else's fault. Okay? That's not how you run a city. Just like Morris said, you have to have thick skin. If you're going to get mad because somebody's not going to do what you tell them to do when they know it's against the law, you shouldn't be in that seat. And the fact that these voters know that this mayor acts like that and continue to vote for her lets you know that they don't care about the city. They only care about what they stand to gain by having this mayor in office. And Ms. Ernestine, you said it, you know, politicians say, well, I'm only one person. Yeah, you one person, but y'all are working collectively behind closed doors. You're not just one person. There's somebody having these meetings before the meeting telling you how to vote and what you should be saying when you're out there voting. So I don't want to hear that. You've never been one person. There's always been some form of alliance going on behind closed doors. You know it, and we know it. So those are the things that we have to look out for. Again, remember the past so that we're not doomed to repeat it. We know who you are. We know what you've done. And we're going to take that into consideration when it's time to vote this cycle. Sorry to take us on this time.
I think too, Deidre. I think too, Deidre, on what you're saying is that we have politicians who come around. You have to understand they come around during voting time, and they do all this video and telling you all about the issues and the concerns and the things that they want to happen. And if you go back 2 or 3 years ago, you can see those same videos. So you've been in certain positions all this time. What have you done while in those positions to correct some of the issues, the concerns you so-called have for this community? You know, it's a bunch of a bull that's going around, and you're trying to confuse our neighbors and our community. And I want to touch on something with housing. It is so sad that we have people of color that are going throughout our neighborhoods and telling people, sell. You can get this, you can get that. I talked to a young man who sold his house, and now he has no place to go. You cannot afford to sell. You know, if there's some problems with your home, you should be, as a board member, you should be helping, assisting them and getting repair work done to their home. They're not doing that. They are selling. They've sold themselves out. Now they're selling our community out.
Reggie,
And
can I?
may I add to that, when you are in the position to help our neighbors instead of hurting our neighbors, that's what kills me. Here you are campaigning to be a commissioner, but yet and still you are encouraging people and stating the fact in the northwest and southwest section of Delray. If you are a realtor, why not say all of Delray? But you're specifying specific neighborhoods, and that is one thing that I cannot stand. Don't sell me out for a hot dog, because I'm not a hot dog eater like that.
Can I say something?
Again, let me make one statement. I want to thank Pastor Whiteley for what he did on Saturday to sponsor, his organization sponsored the Community Leadership Awards, and it was a beautiful affair. And I want to say congratulations to the honorees that were honored from our neighborhood. One of them being the late Alfred Zach Strong, Commissioner David Randolph, Chuck, Reggie, Montre, and Lisa McMillan. Thank you again to your organization, Pastor Whiteley.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Attorney.
One of the purposes of groups like this is to provide the information to the community that isn't engaged. We're all engaged people. And I'll give you a good for instance. In the last election cycle, we had a young lady running for Congress that promised $1,000 to everybody. Now, those of us on this call all knew that that couldn't have happened with a freshman representative from South Florida. That it takes way more than that for them to get $1,000. But I was in Off the Bone barbecue place. I do frequent barbecue places, and as I'm standing in line, I overheard some young ladies behind me asking when and where they were going to get their $1,000. Was it coming in their tax return, or did they think it was going to come with their PPP money? And it seems innocuous enough that, okay, you just didn't know that you weren't going to get no $1,000. But the long-term damaging effects of those kind of false promises, those lies, hurt us and our ability to organize and get the vote out long-term. Because the folks who aren't voting on a regular basis and show up when we go to the door and we ask them, and then when they don't get these kind of false promises after the people get elected, the next time we go back to that door and we're knocking in the hot sun and we got miles on our sneakers, they are talking about, I'm not voting because voting don't matter. And so groups like this have an obligation in order to make our work easier, is that when you get politicians that make those kind of false promises, we got to call them out from the door and don't give them quarter in any sector of our communities. And remember that they were the people out making those kind of promises. Now, I you know, in Delray, I've been trying to bring the African American community and the Haitian community together. And I went down to Y'all City Commission meeting last week. And I guess one of your commissioners has promised the Haitian community that they're going to get a community center of sorts. Well, I've been told on back channels that that merely is to keep them happy, but ain't nobody getting no money or putting up a dime for them to get anything. The community needs to rally behind them because they've been promised it, and the person that promised it needs to be held accountable. That's what groups like this can do. And unfortunately, when you do it, the backlash from our people, people say I'm a rabble riser, I'm a hell raiser, because I don't allow people, whether they be black, white, or yellow, whatever color they might be, to lie to me and not bring them up and not make them defend what they're saying. And we have to be about the business of doing that. And sometimes that's going to make people upset because we don't like controversy. And we do it in our churches. We sit there and have a messed up organization for years and years and years, and we just take it. But if this organization is going to be strong, if the community is going to change, you have a politician now that I'm gathering from this conversation that has been there before, was detrimental to the community, and is coming back again for a second bite at the apple. Well, that person, everyone needs to be putting out their record and letting folks, they shouldn't even be able to hold their head and feel comfortable talking to anybody. But that's on the people on this call. They don't respect you. They don't respect your reach. They don't respect your ability to make them pariahs in their community. And that has to change too. That's all I got.
Absolutely. Thank you, Attorney Rouse. Any other comments?
Reggie, I think Ms. Odom is trying to get in.
Okay, I do see her. Ms. Odom, can you hear us? She's been having some audio issues. And
She's in. I just don't know if she can hear or be able to communicate through that.
yeah, that's something on her end, unfortunately. Yeah, go ahead.
While we're waiting, can I just say this? And I think it's appropriate for this moment, especially when we're talking about that commissioner that's trying to come back in. Growing up with Mr. Strong, Mr. Zach Strong, Miss Libby Wesley, Miss Juanita Hill, and Johnny's Hill. I'm sorry, and from what we were taught that no matter what we did in this community, and Chuck, you are witness to this, if you mess up, they still grabbed you and they hugged you. They told you that no matter that, it doesn't matter that you messed up, you're still ours. And I remember Miss Wesley hugging you, Chuck. But I remember the phone call she made to you. I was with her that day. But I wanted to say this. My last conversation with Mr. Zach Strong was in September, 2 months before he passed away. And I asked about that certain commissioner or that former commissioner, what are we going to do? And I could remember too far gone. And what he was saying is that we can't hug her anymore. She's too far gone, or they're too far gone. So I just wanted to share that with you all because that was my last conversation with Mr. Strong, and I had never heard him say that about anybody else before.
Well, he made this clear at the elders table before he passed, before the pandemic. Well, and I guess around October, November 2019, when you say, Chuck?
Ms. Ernestine, talk a little bit more. I don't remember the incident, but if you remember.
We were talking about, he said, if they're no good, we shouldn't even waste our time even talking about them, more or less voting for them.
That's the way you remember it.
Could I jump in? Let me just add a little bit to what I've already been said. I mean, great points. I think that one of the things that we should emphasize, Reggie, is consistency on both sides. There are people who are consistently inconsistent, and there are people that are just consistent. You know, so those guys, even though they may have not made the right decisions, I'm not talking about the ones that are there, the ones that are trying to come back. They're talking about people who are aspiring on the seat on the dais. If they've been there the whole time, and if they're trying, and if they're engaged with the community, and they really show up, and they care, those are the traits that we should look for. Do they want to learn? Do they want the power of the community? Far too often, we see people with hidden motives go in there. But here's the part about us too, right? That I had to learn. After you give them your power, you have to stay on them. You can't just assume that they know, because there's a system that embraces them and they say, this is how we do things. And that's when we lose them. They start to go to the quote unquote dark side. They feel the quote unquote power of the seat, and they believe that that's important or more important than the power of the community. So looking for a person that's consistent, always showing up, arguing or not arguing. I'm showing up. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to get better. That's one trait, in addition to everything that's been said, that we have to look for and lift up. That's one of the things that we're trying to do with our pastors, our Black leaders, our people of faith, right? We are doing our best to teach that. Just don't let them come to your church and smile. Don't even give them an opportunity to speak on your pulpit unless you guys have had a private conversation and you agree with everything that this person say, right? And whatever that person says, it empowers the community. Just don't let them show up. Just don't let them show up. And just because Andrea shows up, well, let me use somebody else because you may get mad at me because you don't know me that well. If Chuck shows up, right? Chuck shows up, I'm gonna give him a just come up and speak, and you get to say all of this stuff. Encourage your pastors to cut that stuff out. Just encourage them to cut. If I can't get to them, you tell them, cut that stuff out. Did you guys have a private conversation in the back room? Do you agree with everything that he said? Did he hear your concerns? Did he hear the concerns that you hear every day from the people who you're praying for? You know what the concerns are. If everybody in your congregation is praying about their communities not being safe, that's the issue that you bring up to that person that's trying to speak at your pulpit. You know, did they hear you? If they didn't hear you, tell them to sit down. And if you acknowledge them, then you do. But don't, this is a big word, but don't prostitute your pulpit. Just don't do that. You know, show the consistency and trying to teach pastors that and faith leaders that this is what we have to do if we really want to have an impact in the communities that trust our voices. So back to mute. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to preach, but I just had to get that out there.
Oh, no.
Okay, Ms. Odom?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can y'all hear her?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry. I don't know what I did wrong, but I can see you guys, but I'm not picking up the audio. But I wanted to do my report as the president of the SET Coalition of the CDC, but I wanted to comment first on something Deidre commented on about the SET transformation plan. Reggie and I were on the comprehension plan for the city of Delray. We served almost 3 years in doing that. Toward the end, the current mayor, through some plants that I found out later, I'm the naive one, had done everything they could to get that wording out of the city's transformation plan. That is a fact. It's probably recorded somewhere. And at our very last meeting, as a matter of fact, they called a special meeting because we had finished our work. The committee had decided we wanted that wording in the city's comprehension plan, but the chair called the meeting because there was somebody who, under disguise of saying, we just want to double check and make sure everything that we want is in this comprehension plan. Lo and behold, everywhere that the SET transformation plan was mentioned, this person went to that page and asked for it to be removed. And that triggered my curiosity. And I'm like, well, why are you doing that? And at the time, I didn't realize who it was. And of course, the committee did not go along with it. And then I made the comment to this person, I tell you what, because he said, well, the city commission will never approve this with the wording of the SET transformation plan in it. So my comment was, well, if they're going to take it out, they're going to have to do it in a public meeting. This committee will not do their dirty work for them. Sure enough, the committee stated, kept it in there, and that's just what they did. To hook and crook, they got that worded out. And I must say, if you go back to the city commission meeting, our chair objected strongly that they had taken out that word. Because remember, they had already started doing the work. And they just did not want those words in that plan. Now, that's the fact. That's not hearsay, that's not rumor, that's a fact. And now for my report.
Summer Club. This is Summer Club.
Yvonne Odom, and I'm president of Delray Beach CDC. We have been around since 1992. And when I read the SET transformation plan, one of the things they had mentioned in there there about establishing a CDC. And I'm like, and Chuck, I don't know if I called you or Reggie, I don't know who I called, but I say, listen, we already have a CDC. And sure enough, we became an active part of the coalition. We've been building houses since then. I must say all of our clients keep their house and their land, and we continue to do this work. Byron Jones became one of our newest board members, and with his expertise, we have just had a couple of workshops where our home buyers, and by the way, we were able to get 16 of the 20 home buyers approved at the Carver Square through our work. Anyway, they met with the lenders. They were able to go over the closing costs so that our buyers would not be surprised. They had workshops with the lenders, so they understood what was asking. We were able to talk them into trying to get a lock-in rates now for the lenders. So that was a very productive meeting, and all the home buyers were extremely happy with it. We also want you to know that we met with Habitat, and we're going to become one of their partners with the Rock the Block. They're going to do one on September 24th, 10 houses. We strongly suggested Carver Park. I must say I'm guilty, but I don't think Anna object. And Janice, and what they want us to do is help them. They need 10 families on that day. Wells Fargo is our partner, and they're the ones, they're sending 200 of their employees to work with us. And their main thing is they want the signage and all that kind of stuff. Told them we don't care. They can put their signs up. They just simply need places to park and somewhere to serve refreshments. So that's a good collaboration. Repair and Restore, we're working very closely with the coalition through Ann and Virginia's help to help with that. And one of the things, while we're doing that Rock the Block, one of the things we're going to have Ann and those do is see if there are other things that the homeowner would need that's beyond Habitat's cost. We have also finalized our budget through Thrive. We also want you to be aware that we are one of the nonprofits that's sharing in the building of those 14 townhomes across the street from Mount Olive, in which we should have a very, very nice profit off that. That's been a long battle. We've been partners with them when that Atlantic Road project was first built. We had 25% ownership along with the Ted Center. And that's a very successful partnership, a nonprofit and a private partner working together. Our meetings are held every fourth Tuesday. We are still meeting virtually at 9:30 in the morning. We are very happy to be a part of the coalition to do the part of the home ownership part. I want to thank all the organizers on here, and I tell my people, we don't have no ordinary Negroes that live in Delray, and Attorney Riles, you need to know that. So I am very happy to be a part of it, and Brother President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Odom. We obviously, where there's a will, there's a way, because we made that work with Ms. Odom. That's on my cell phone, so we're gonna go ahead and. I saw you get to the top. Okay, no, thank you very much, Ms. Odom. And as you all can see, as we can see, you know, we asked a question. And I want to, it's 8:09 right now, so we're doing okay on time. But I want to circle back to just a couple of things. So one of the questions could be, are we in order? Are we in order? And I also asked what we have learned. You know, Chuck mentioned the triangle. And if you've been to any alliance meetings over the last 7, 8 years, you're going to be familiar with the triangle, okay? And the triangle is such that you have community organizing, the electoral process.
Reggie, can you hold for a second? Can someone mute Ms. Odom?
Oh, is that? Give me 1 second. Is that? I don't know if that's Mrs. Odom.
I muted her.
That's somebody else.
That's somebody else. That was Morris. Okay. All right. We got him. Uh-oh. Look like she's waving me down again there. Uh-oh. All right. Miss Odom, you want to get back on?
No, go, Reggie. Go.
Okay. So the question is, are we in order? And what are we in order with? So for example, the triangle, we know that every side of that triangle, the organizing, the electoral process, the policies, we know that they must move in equilibrium for maximum impact. Okay? Because, and here's one great example. You get somebody, you have a community-driven process, like Ms. Odom mentioned, with the set plan. Also, it was a citywide comprehensive plan committee. This was a committee picked by the city commission. I want the audience to hear what I'm saying, okay? Because see, this goes beyond, some of the things we're talking about, but it's also connected. The city commission handpicked a diverse group of individuals across the whole city to sit on a comprehensive plan steering committee, which is a regulatory requirement document that they must produce to the state periodically on the future plans of the city. They did that. The committee came back with language from a 3-year process. And in one vote, they derailed a 3-year process of input by a diverse committee that they picked. You understand what I'm saying here, okay? So when you talk about abuse of power, when you talk about retribution, and you talk about accountability coming up into yet another election cycle, I think the challenge is, there's a lot of short memories. There's some long memories too. But I think the challenge is these detrimental moves against our community in a petty fashion. The challenge is, how can the power of our organizations, okay, distribute that information in a timely and efficient manner around the election cycle, okay, so we can block individuals who govern in that manner or association with that governance. Because we know this mayor is tied to that usual suspect that Attorney Strong was talking about. We know this, okay? And so I think one of the challenges for all of us, the organizations, is to find, if we know that cancer exists in a particular jurisdiction, we know it exists in Delray, and it may exist in Boynton and West Palm, but we know this is a Delray meeting tonight. We know it exists in Delray. So to the extent that our building capacity and bringing back the Delray Beach Voters League, and partnering with the Black Caucus, NAACP, and also our coalition members as far as their projects, because even some of our projects have been set back out of pettiness. So the question was, what is the qualifications of a elected official for a working class neighborhood who has historically been disenfranchised and left out of the mainstream conversation? Well, I think from the conversation tonight, if I had to sum it up, would be that individual has to be engaged with the community authentically, not just on the surface. That individual has to have a if you have served before, you have to have a decent track record of integrity that brought policies that will benefit us. If you've been up there and you haven't done that, and you tried to turn the clock back, that's not the individual, that's not a qualification that we want. We don't want deception. We don't want the clock to be turned back off community work over several years. And we don't want that turned back with one vote, because you want to lead with retribution and abuse of power. And we don't want an elected official that aids in voter suppression tactics. There's one cycle here 2 years ago where we know with the mail-in ballot, we know what happened. The precincts, several precincts in our neighborhood on election day had a direct inverse of votes on election day than they had with the mail-in ballots. Okay, so these are things that these organizations, like I say, the Voters League, the Grassroots Alliance as the accountability arm, the partner organizations throughout the county, and in some instances throughout the state with similar issues. These are the things that we must guard against. And I think to the extent that we have learned these lessons, we don't want to be saying in August, November, and March, particularly, I guess I'm just dealing with local now, we don't want to be saying this happened again. So I think our challenge is being able to get the word out in a timely manner. Obviously, the Voter League has capacity of raising money. That the Voter League is really a direct, and I want us to everybody to hear this. Bringing back the Voters League, as with the NAACP is concerned in Delray, is a direct response into the last few election cycles. It's a direct response to the deception, to the lack of the equitable policies, to voter suppression tactics around the election cycle, and definitely to abuse of power that we have seen on this dais. Those building those organizations are in direct response for that. So we have a prescription. We're continuing to build that. We want to bring other organizations on because we know in other communities they have these similar issues. And to that extent, we remain steadfast and we remain organized. So if someone would ask me, Brother Chair, are you in order as far as the set transformation plan is concerned? Have you discussed tonight and reported on community capacity building with Ms. Sandra Weatherspoon? I think so. Have you reported and discussed tonight the responsibility of strong civic stewardship, which is another principle of the set transformation plan? Would you enlist in all residents to be advocates for the plan? I think so. Brother Chair's community wealth building and creating an environment that all can be accessible, a part of the work and prescription. Well, we heard from the CDC and the work that they're doing. We heard from the work that the coalition also is doing for us repair and restore. I think so. Have we talked about principle number 4, a healthy community? Building a community that is safe and beautiful and accessible to all. Well, that's a direct reflection on our policies. And we've talked about that with the triangle tonight, and we talked about that with the advocacy tonight. I think so. Placemaking. It's Juneteenth. Today is a commemorative day throughout this country and also locally in Delray. Creating places that instill pride, reflect the set history and culture, and encourage success. Well, with Village Academy and bringing Village Academy to its potential around Village Center and the technology center over there, as far as placemaking is concerned, I think we're on track with that. And also placemaking as far as our community is concerned. We know that there are certain community cleanups that The electeds want to put show and tell now because of the election coming. But we know that we need jobs. So just like in communities that have HOA, just like downtown have clean and safe, don't come song and dance with a community cleanup so you can get photo ops for your campaign. Create jobs. Where's a regular maintenance program that can be sustained over time and also provide income to a disenfranchised community historically. And then the last, strategic investments. Brother Chair, has strategic investments been a part of the prescription as far as operationalizing the SET transformation plan? Yes, projects that are transformative and encourage future investment. Yes, that is our focus. Ms. Odom mentioned the homes with our legacy projects, and 3 or 4 are being built right now. We ran into some hiccups with the city because of pettiness and setbacks, but it is happening, and it's through the coalition and the and our partners. So I want to go ahead. At this point, it's 8:20, and really ask us to stay encouraged that we're on track. We do have to keep meeting. We do have to stay the course. We do have to keep our eyes on the prize. The Delray Beach Voters League will be meeting on July 18th after the Alliance meeting. That's July 18th at 7:30. After the Alliance meeting next month, we'll be getting the information out to all who is interested. And with that said, I just do want to hear from, is Morris Christopher on, my vice co-chair? Is Morris still on? Before we close out, I want to give co-chair Christopher the floor with some closing remarks.
Yeah, Rich, I'm going to try because I don't know how my quality of sound is. It still crackling?
The sound is bad, Morris.
Yeah, I know. All right, I'm gonna try to log in. I want to. It's a couple points.
Morris.
Yeah, we can't hear him. All right. Okay. All right. We'll see. Okay, I was gonna give Chair Christopher a chance to have some closing remarks, but I see he's having technical difficulty. We want to thank Sean Hall for producing this broadcast today. Sean Hall has been very helpful to the Alliance. He's with Viral Vision Marketing. This broadcast will be saved on Viral Visual Marketing YouTube page, and it's also on the SET. He will save it to the SET Neighborhood Alliance YouTube page as well. That's also been broadcasted tonight through the Delray Beach Community Forum and also on the SET Neighborhood Alliance page. So we do want to thank Mr. Sean Hall from Viral Vision Marketing for his assistance in this broadcast. The next Alliance external meeting will be in August, and that'll be on Monday, August 22nd. The external meetings are virtual, and so we'll be back to discuss with the community our progress thus far at that particular time. With that said, I do want to wish everyone a happy Juneteenth on this federal holiday. It's been a long time coming. It does speak of progress, but at the same time, as we've heard tonight, it does speak of how far we have to go. With the help of partner organizations, friends, our family, elected and appointed officials who are authentic and believe in the power of the working class and care about the working class, with the Progressive Coalition across Delray, I think some of these things can be done. With that said, God bless everybody.
Mr. Cox.
Yes, sir.
Do you mind if I have one Just 2-second comment.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I would like to thank one of our warriors for liberation for her hard work and wish her a happy birthday. Kristen Cox, if you're listening, I know you were away on vacation, and the way I have it, you're out of the country. But if you somehow can hear us, happy birthday. And the set residents and the Alliance, the Coalition, and the Village Elder Table love you to life. So in the words of my ancestors, who are all liberators, boom shakalaka, Kristen Cox.
Thank you, Chuck, for that. And yes, and Kristen,
Happy birthday, Christian.
happy birthday to you. Where is she, Chuck? You say somewhere in the.
I don't know. I think wherever she is, she'll kill me if I say it.
All right. Well, happy birthday, Kristen. And then we also want to thank our partners. Kristen is also, so she's with Thrive Collective. Sarah Selznick is our community asset partners for the coalition. And we want to thank Sarah as well. Okay. Is that all business for tonight?
All hearts and minds are well.
All right. With that said, we're going to go ahead and close the meeting out tonight. God bless everyone. Take care, be well, and good night. Thank you.